Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is a life well spent. My name is Kelly, and on this channel I'm documenting my financial journey. I'm really sorry to have abandoned you. I think it's probably been almost a month since I've done a video. I promise there's a very good reason for that, and a lot of it had to do with just life being the kind of crazy that you don't ever want it to be. So I took a short trip, which I planned to take. Maybe like the third week in July, and it's actually today's August 9th when I'm recording. While I was on that trip, I got a phone call from my mother, and she had been having a difficult time getting caregivers for my father, who, if you're new here, I've mentioned this before, I'm sure, but just as a brief recap, almost 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years in November, he fell down the stairs and broke his neck and has needed total care ever since. And we've been blessed with some amazing caregivers, and they set the bar really high, and we've had just some so average caregivers who weren't awesome, but they did the job. They weren't bad per se. And we've had some awful ones. And my mom had been kind of struggling a lot all summer. There were times when I had to take care of my dad. She was taking off work to do it. And we finally got somebody in place, or so we thought we did. And so I felt safe going on my trip. And while I was there, she called me and informed me that my dad's caregiver was abusing him. Some pretty awful abuse that my dad suffered. So that wasn't great. And then, that meant that instead of being able to come home and my initial plan was to come home from my trip and to, wind down, to finish my budget and do that video, and then, wrap up my spending video and all that kind of stuff. And frankly, it just didn't happen. I walked around my house enough times to get some more clothes, and then I went straight to my mother's house and I stayed there. Because my mother was in a position where she couldn't really take any more days off of work. So she needed to keep the caregiver despite the fact that he was abusing her. And she's kind of terrified to report because she's worried that the company will retaliate, which I don't actually think that they can. I think it's illegal, but I mean, I imagine they probably have a way to make it sound like they weren't retaliating. I do think they're mandated reporters, so I think they're going to have to report it. And we should know here within a week, I would say, whether or not they've actually reported it. And if they don't, I'm going to. I don't care. I mean, that's unacceptable. The brief, his care was pretty bad to begin with. And, but some of that is you're new, you don't quite understand what my dad's needs are. And we can there's some leeway to be had there, but we have cameras and we caught him doing some things that were just unacceptable. Definitely neglect levels. And then, he said he shaved my dad. He's supposed to shave him every day, and my dad has an electric razor, and he claimed that he shaved him, and my mom looked at him and said, well, he hasn't been shaved. Look at his face, And so the next day, he shaved him again, or rather for the first time, on camera, and he shaved him so hard that he made my dad bleed in his face, and then took a stick of deodorant to his face afterwards, to a man who, because of his fall and his spinal cord injury, can't even wipe it off his face if it's bothering him. He just had to suffer the whole day, with this stuff on his face and get bothered by it. So yeah, I mean, that was probably the most blatant, atrocious. And the rest of it was just really awful care. Really awful care. He would make my dad breakfast at 6 a.m, but then wake my dad up and eat it at 9. It's ice cold. Supposed to be hot food. It's not cold breakfast foods. It's hot foods that he's cooking. So, just stuff like that, which is just that's not okay. But I wouldn't necessarily have called that abuse, but yeah, bleeding and the deodorant stick, definitely. I even had a moment where I was like, he knows he's on camera. Why would you do that? And I kept racking my brain thinking that doesn't make sense. I don't think he's American born. I think English is his first language. So I'm thinking is this a thing in other countries where they have a stick form of aftershave? Did he get confused? Or is that just where he's from, people use deodorant instead of aftershave? Like, is there an innocent reason behind this? Because that doesn't make sense, and he knows he's on camera. We think it was partly retaliatory about him being on camera. So you think, why would you do that? So anyway, because of that, I've spent most of the last few weeks at my parents' house and dealing with situations, with care and stuff like that. So haven't really had any time to kind of sit down and do any videos or anything like that. And in fact, I actually made a copy of this is my budget video today. I'm going to go over. It's going to be my August budget. I had to make a copy of it so I could have it like as a plain budget, because I'm still tracking when I am spending money. So I didn't want you to have I didn't want to not track, because I wasn't sure when I'd be able to even film this video, and I didn't want to have it with all the transactions in there, because then it gets weird. It's not as clean. So here's where we're at. Without further ado, we'll get in there. So I've decided I'm just going to kind of keep these. They're always like the first ones anyway. So I might just keep them in the transaction register again and again and again. But so my income that I'm budgeting for this month is $2,905.60. There's $291 additional that comes in from my mother. It pays for different things that just are in my name. That income, I expect that to change a little bit. I mean, that's the same as my typical expected income, but we did get a raise, and our raise started with our last pay of July. However, that was a third pay, and so the tax structure and my HSA contributions and things like that are all off. It's all kind of wonky, and so, yeah. I'm not exactly sure what it should be more than that, but maybe $40 more than that a pay, so $80 total. I might be breaking 3,000. I don't know. It's always hard to tell until you finally start getting paid, and I won't get paid until the 13th. That'll be our first pay in August, so we'll just kind of float by whatever we have. Whatever's extra and left over, I'll just put it towards a money goal somewhere here or there. So, I'm not expecting any miscellaneous extra income, but giving $10, I do give more than that. It's just certain things come out of different funds, and I just budgeted it this way because it made sense to me at the time. My mortgage, $676.03. My mortgage, I believe, will actually end up going down, because I have had my house for, come July is the end of the year cycle for me. And so that means that they always make adjustments for, I escrow all of my, insurance and all that kind of stuff, so my taxes and whatnot. So because of that, my payment always changes, and it always changes based on, the bill and stuff like that. And I got a letter from my bank, and I can't quite remember what it's supposed to be for September. So I bought my house in July, but you always get that. They always do that, you don't pay, the first month. It's, the following month. So the payment change, August is the last time it'll be like this, and the payment change will take place next. I shopped around for some better homeowners insurance. I dropped it a lot. So, and I don't think taxes necessarily went up any kind of astronomical amount. So I expect the payment is going to go down a little bit. I just forget what it is. $47.45 for my electric. That's actually not bad, considering it was a pretty heavy AC month. This week might be too. It's going to be in the 90s all week. Natural gas, $26.57. That's mostly just general usage, and my stove, because I definitely do not have the heat on in the summertime. Sewer, $58. That's a flat rate. Water, $18.07, which is not correct. It should be $18.97. Hang on. Just a typo. I noticed that in the regular one. I forgot to change it over here. So that's the minimum payment, or the minimum charge, no matter how much you actually use. And some months I'm usually right at the minimum, but every once in a while it goes over. Internet, $145.33. That's actually also different, because I just got a payment, or just got a bill for 14 cents or something. So I'll have to fix that. Cell phone, I budgeted a flat 75, because I knew with trips and things like that, I was definitely going to be going over my, 1 gig. I thought actually I might go over 2 gigs, and I did. So I put it up to 75. groceries, I budgeted $300. It's more than usual. It is that time of year when I go and like I supply my office at work with food so that I don't get peckish, or if I do get peckish, I've got something there to eat. And I like to kind of have backups for like in case I just, was really exhausted and couldn't get up and didn't have some time to make something to eat or whatever, that I've got options there, and I keep tea in my office and stuff like that. So I expect to, resupply that. And with Delta variant taking off something fierce, I definitely have to go buy some meat, some chicken and some things like that. It has just occurred to me, I bought 3 things of pork chops and I cannot for the life of me remember where I put them. I bought them yesterday. I sincerely hope I put them in the... Oh, I may have left them in the car. I'm gonna be so mad if I throw that. I'm gonna be so mad. Because I put them in a bag to keep them cool. And I think I forgot to bring the bag inside. So much for loading up on pork chops. So I had some. Y'all, this is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts about the things that go on with my dad. I hate being disorganized. And I feel like I've had to throw out so many groceries. Now this one's totally on me and my disorganization, but like I have had to throw out so many groceries simply because I bought groceries, planned to be in my house and eating this food, and then my father needed something because we can't get reliable caregivers because I don't know why, but and then I end up having to like stay at my parents' house for a week, and there goes all the groceries I bought. Like the fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. They just don't last. And in my life, I don't feel organized. That would have been yesterday. I don't feel organized. I spent the day like cleaning stuff and organizing and whatnot, and I completely forgot that I had a bag of cold stuff in one of those like bags that helps keep it cooler because I was making a number of stops. And my brain would typically have thought like, hey, wait, there's more. But it didn't because my brain is overwhelmed. And I'm trying to think right now. I bought 2 things. I had those and something else that needed to go in the refrigerator. And I can't for the life of me think about it. And I'm just going to have to throw it out. And I'm so mad. Anyway, life insurance, $7.50. Gas, I'm allotting myself $150. I'd like to actually do some more hiking this summer or this month, and we'll see. My brokerage account for my niece, $100, $50 in a house and garden. I may end up going over on that. I'm not going to try to, but I'm hoping that I will be able to, and I will feel organized and energetic enough to plant some fall crops, because there's some things that I really like to have in the spring, and I never got around to even getting them in the spring, but you can also have them in the fall, so that's my goal. We'll see. Restaurant I put down as $100, mostly because there are 3 days of in-service that we have at our school, and I know that when it really comes down to it, my friends and I are going to either get takeout or go eat somewhere. Well, I probably want to actually go eat somewhere because everything going on with Delta, but I probably will like pick up and bring back. I'm not going to want to pack a lunch. It's one of the few times we get to go out to eat, so I just budgeted to make time for that. Personal $100, miscellaneous $100, putting $500 in my Roth IRA, sending $200 to my student loans, and then I'm adding a bunch of different sets of money to my sinking fund. So $50 goes into car repair, $100 to house, Nanny Lion Club $16, garbage is $15, my giving fund is $74, car insurance is $59, my gift fund is $50. And my student loan fund is $126.65, but that's wrong. It's going to be $177.75. Okay. That's it. That's my budget for the month, and we will see how I do. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.